we've had sermons already, very snippets of different situations of Jesus, how he found himself in various different situations. But this morning I'm going to speak on the Good Samaritan, and I wanted to act it out. I was going to get some of people out of the congregation to act it out, but time's moving on, so we won't do that this morning. So the Good Samaritan is a parable told by Jesus in the Bible, and it teaches us the importance of compassion, kindness, and helping others in need, regardless of their background and circumstances. And Liz already shared that, and other groups have shared that too. So simply, the story goes like this. A man is robbed, is beaten, and left for dead on the side of the road. Two religious leaders pass by and ignore the man, but a Samaritan who was considered an outsider by the Jewish people stops to help. He tends to the man's wounds, takes him to an inn, and pays for his lodging and care. And the story teaches us that we should not only show kindness to those who are like us, but also to those who are different from us, or even considered our enemies. We should always be willing to lend a hand to those in need, regardless of their race, religion, or social status. Just taking you back to the king's coronation and the different leaders that were part of that service, I thought it was fantastic that the Jewish were there, the Sikhs were there, and they worshipped in a Church of England. Now that was putting aside their race to support the king at his coronation. In everyday life, we can apply the lessons of the Good Samaritan by being attentive to the needs of those around us and taking action to help. This might mean offering a listening ear to a friend going through a difficult time, volunteering at a local organisation, or donating to charity. There are modern-day Good Samaritans, someone who stops to help a stranger who is lost or is in distress. And you've already got on your screen there, there are many words that we can use to describe a Good Samaritan. They understand others' feelings. They give freely of their time and resources and talents. They have a deep affection or care for others. They act selflessly, for the benefit of others. I seem to have had this when I was reading over there. I couldn't get my words out, and it looks like I can't get them out now. Showing kindness and forgiveness, and even when it is not deserved. Consideration, we think about the needs of others. Showing compassion and forgiveness to those who have wronged us. Showing gentleness and care towards others. Our individual attitudes and mindsets play a crucial role in how we interact with others and show compassion and kindness towards them. And the next slide will show us the important attitudes and mindsets that we need to cultivate. We need to be open-minded, empathetic, respectful, patient, be gracious, recognising and appreciating the good things that others bring into our lives, and expressing gratitude for their presence and the contributions that they make. Forgiveness, humility, and by cultivating these attitudes and mindsets, we can create a more positive and compassionate world and make a meaningful impact on the lives of others. Today we are looking at creative communication in order to turn challenges into opportunities. And outside, we are looking at the garden, the area that the school are wanting us to help with. And that's being creative because hopefully it will be a talking point next week when the children say, oh, the weeds have gone. Or there's a staff member says, oh, can't believe it, it's been done. They will ask questions. Who did that? Why did they do it? Jesus used every opportunity to be creative in order to draw people's gaze towards God. What stories did Jesus tell us to show this? The next slide. The parable of the sower, very familiar story. He used the image of a sower scattering seed on different types of soil to illustrate how people respond to his message. The parable of the prodigal son, another image of a young man who squandered his inheritance and then returned home to his father. This illustrates the power of forgiveness and reconciliation. By telling a story that was emotionally engaging and relatable. The miracle of the 5,000, Jesus used the image of a small boy's lunch, 5 loaves and 2 fish, to feed a crowd of 5,000 people. And by performing a miraculous act that was both surprising and inspiring, Jesus was able to capture the attention of his listeners and draw them towards a deeper understanding of God's power and provision. Next slide, please. During Hull's City of Culture in 2017, we distributed 5 fish sandwiches. And the fryers there, I've been looking back in articles and things, the fryers cooked on average 160 portions every 15 minutes. It was a very creative way of spreading the gospel. People couldn't believe in Hull. Why are you giving away fish sandwiches? We don't have to buy them, why not? And then we handed out a newspaper edition of the retelling of the story, and this was produced by the Bible Society as a cartoon by Beaner's Kev Sutherland. Loads of knit and natter groups knitted fish, and these were handed out as a reminder of the day. And it was fantastic, and it drew the crowds, just like Jesus drew the crowds those years ago, handing out the loaf, the bread, and the fish. Overall, Jesus used a variety of creative communication techniques, including storytelling, parables, miracles, and metaphors to engage his listeners and draw their gaze towards God. Here's a modern-day story of the Good Samaritan. One day, a woman was driving from home when she saw a man lying on the side of the road, clutching his chest and struggling to breathe. She immediately pulled out and approached the man, who told her that he was having a heart attack and needed help. And without hesitation, the woman called 111 and stayed with the man, comforting him and keeping him calm until the ambulance arrived. She rode with him to the hospital and stayed by his side until his family arrived. The only thing is, he didn't have any family and friends nearby. So she ended up taking care of him, regularly visiting him in hospital while he was recovering. She even organised a fundraiser to help him financially during this difficult time. In this modern-day story of the Good Samaritan, the woman showed compassion and kindness to a stranger who was in need, going above and beyond to help him in every way that she could. Her actions demonstrate the power of empathy and selflessness and serve as an inspiring example of how we can all make a positive difference in the lives of others, even if we don't know them personally. The next slide, please. There are several reasons why being a Good Samaritan is important. It helps those in need. But the primary reason to be a Good Samaritan is to help those who are in need. When we see someone suffering, whether it's because of illness or injury, poverty or other reasons, we have an opportunity to make a positive difference in their lives by offering help and support. It promotes kindness and compassion. A Good Samaritan is a way to promote kindness and compassion. And when we show empathy and caring towards others, we inspire others to do the same. And it creates a ripple effect of kindness and compassion. It builds community. We are all in this together, and by working together to support each other, we can create a stronger and more resilient society. It promotes personal growth. It can also be a powerful tool for personal growth and development. When we step outside of our needs and concerns to help others, we gain a broader perspective on the world. Ultimately, being a Good Samaritan is about embodying the values of kindness, compassion, and generosity toward others. And by doing this, we make a positive difference. Slide 7, please. Gladys Aylward was a famous person who could be considered a Good Samaritan. She was a British missionary who went to China in the early 20th century to work with orphans and share the Christian faith. Has anybody seen the old film? I have, and I think what I remember from the film is when she was taking the children over the mountainside and they were really, really struggling. And I think she sang a song with them to get them through. Was it This Old Man? And you could hear all these little Japanese children singing as they were going over the hills. Apparently they travelled over 100 miles on foot, faced harsh weather conditions. They were hungry and it was dangerous along the way. But Gladys Aylward's courage and determination inspired the children and helped them to survive. This was during the Second Sino-Japanese War. Throughout her life, Gladys continued to serve the people of China, often in the face of great danger and adversity. The next one is Mother Teresa. She's another famous person who widely considered to be a Good Samaritan. She was a Catholic nun and she dedicated her life, as you all know, to serving the poor and sick and in some of the most impoverished areas of the world. Throughout her life, Mother Teresa inspired countless of others with her selflessness, compassion and commitment to serve others. And she received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Remember, being a Good Samaritan doesn't always require grand gestures of heroic acts. Sometimes it's the small everyday actions that can make the biggest difference in someone's life. Walking humbly with God means acknowledging our limitations and recognizing that we are dependent on God's grace and guidance in our lives. It hasn't come up with the right words I wanted, but never mind. It might be the next one, but never mind. It doesn't matter. No, it's okay. It hasn't been put in the correct order, but no, that's fine anyway. So here's some of the ways that we can practice humility in your relationship with God this week. Try ways to creatively communicate with others. I know you all do anyway, but take time each day to pray and meditate and reflect on your relationship with God and ask Him for guidance and wisdom to place others on your heart who need to spend time, you need to spend time with this week. Practice gratitude. Spend time acknowledging and expressing gratitude for the blessings in your life. Serve others. Look out for opportunities to serve and help others where you live and out in the community. You could volunteer. I know some of you do that already. In a food bank or in the cupboard. Visiting someone who's sick, whether that's someone you know in church or whether it's someone you know, one of your neighbours. Bake a cake. Go and offer the cake to someone where you live. Offer a listening ear. There's so many ways of how we can creatively think to communicate with others. I love that scripture in the Bible where it says, walk humbly with your God, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Walking humbly with God is a lifelong journey, and it requires ongoing effort. None of us have reached where we should be. It's an ongoing, day-to-day, lifelong commitment. And if we practice humility, gratitude, and service, we will deepen our relationship with God, and we grow in faith and wisdom. Gladys Aylward, on the previous slide, but we can't go back to it now. She said, oh God, here's my Bible, here's my money, here's me, use me, God. Try and remember those words as you go through this. Oh God, here's my Bible. I'm going to gain from you daily what you would have me do. Here's my money. Help me to use it wisely. Here's me. Here's all I have. Use me, God. If you don't hear from God this week on how He can use you, then please do give me a call. Or just give me a WhatsApp message, because if you're willing to say, here's me, then I can make use of you. There's lots of things out in the community that God can use you. So it's not to do things in my house. It's not that kind of thing. It's to use you out in the community. But I know God will place on your hearts what He wants you to do. It would be wonderful if you could come willing to share on Sunday the 4th of June and share your experience and bear witness to how God has used you. You have 2 weeks as the next Sunday's Connect Sunday. You've got 2 weeks. Here am I, God. Use me. Can we stand just for a few moments, just at the close now? Let's open ourselves up to God. We've heard the message. Mother Teresa was very focused on the little things. She did really big things, but on her heart was, if I can do the small things. God used the small things to expand her service. So let's just open ourselves up to God this morning. If you find it helpful, then just open up your hands and ask God to give you what you need for these next couple of weeks as you seek Him to use you in the way He chooses. And it's not our will, but what God wills for us to do. Other worship group got a song.